Well, class, it has been super fun getting to know you and watching you get to know each other during this first live session. I've reserved these last few minutes as an opportunity for you to get to know me and ask me questions. That will be so much fun. Well, what do you want to know? Oh, I have a question. What's your name? Like, not just Miss Evans. Right. I do have a first name, and it is Cheyenne. So my name is Cheyenne Evans. And where did you go to college? Like, what was your major? I have my bachelor's in science in anthropology with a focus on social welfare. I got that from Southern Oregon University. And then I went on to Western Oregon University where I earned my master's in teaching. And how long have you been a teacher for? I have 7 years of experience working in education and have been working as a licensed teacher for the last 3. I started out as the head teacher and the diploma program coordinator for Upper Rogue Center for Educational Opportunities in Eagle Point. Afterwards, I moved just down the road to Eagle Point High School, where I was a social studies teacher for 2 years. While I was there, I was also in charge of the school's summer school program, which had a significant impact on the school's overall graduation rates. I also participated in a number of teams and committees, including AVID, PBIS, STEPS, and I was the secondary teacher representative on the district-wide Technology Action Committee.
Yeah, so Ms. Evans, why did you want to be an online teacher instead of a regular one in a classroom and all?
Yeah, first off, I love the idea of being able to take a truly equitable approach to teaching. If a student needs to stay home and learn online and we can provide that for them, that is really cool. The fact that I get to actually meet kids where they are at and make sure that every single one of them has an equal access to quality education, that is a really neat thing. I think that education is at a major turning point right now, that we're going to see lots of change in how education is done from here on out. And I really want to be a part of that change and that process and have an impact on what this new way of education is going to look like. In addition to that, I have lots and lots of experience with digital learning and digital teaching. And actually, in the last few years, that has become my preferred way of teaching. So let me tell you about my experience. And it is more than just what happened this last spring. I've been digitally teaching longer than that. So while I was at Ursio, I was the online high school social studies teacher. This was my first time doing online teaching. We were using a program called Edmentum, which is really similar to Edgenuity, which we're going to be using here at Medford. Students at Ursio were using Chromebooks in the classroom, which I hadn't used before, but I learned really quickly how to use them. And they're actually super user-friendly, and I came to enjoy them. When I had the opportunity to move down the road to Eagle Point High School, they had one-to-one technology, which means every student had an iPad. That year, Eagle Point was adopting Canvas, and I was super excited about Canvas. Only I and one other teacher started using Canvas that year. And of the 2 of us, I was the only one to implement a fully paperless classroom. But guess what? It worked really well. I used Canvas as well as a whole bunch of other third-party apps that plug into Canvas, and I got to learn all of its little features and stuff. The next year, the other teacher left, and I kind of became the Canvas expert in our district. When any other teacher in any of the other schools wanted to learn how to use Canvas, they came and they asked me for help. Oh, Miss Evans, that's really cool. You must know what you're doing. I like computers too, but why do you like computers more than good old-fashioned paper and pencil? Okay, that's fair. But here's why. First off, paper and pencil limit the learning experiences that a student can have, whereas digital learning gives them a lot more of opportunities. So let's talk about World War II. Using computers, a student can actually go and walk around a battlefield. They could access all sorts of primary resources like digitized propaganda reels or listen to the Boogie Woogie Bugle Boys. And because there are so many more things to do, learning becomes a lot more engaging. I find that while students are initially a little leery of digital learning, eventually they become far more willing to participate in it than they ever were with paper and pencil. Dare I say, they get excited about learning, which is a really cool thing to see. I am really careful about how I design my online lessons. I develop interactive lessons that require students to actually click on something or do something every 3 to 5 minutes because I don't want it to become too boring. I use a wide variety of resources. As an example, let's say I'm having students engage in an online discussion every week as part of their regular coursework. So one week I might make it an online forum, write a discussion post, respond to 2 people. You guys, you know the drill. But the next week I might use Flipgrid or Answer Garden or Padlet or different types of things like this. I also design lessons that at least 50% of the time, students are learning about something that they choose. I might give them a few options or I might give them open-ended research, but I want to make sure that at least half of the time they are picking the thing that they want to learn about. With all of this, I'm really careful to make sure I'm not giving too much choice or too much control. I don't want to make it too novel because I don't want to overwhelm students. A problem we had in the spring is students had 30 different apps to figure out, and it was too much. So there's a certain balance of designing learning activities that are stable and predictable, but also not too boring and repetitive, but also not too overwhelming, not too confusing. This is a very, very sweet spot, and I have found that sweet spot because I have been doing digital teaching for over 2 years at this point. Okay, wait, what was the second part of that question? Yeah, it was why Medford? Like, of all the places, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I love Medford. But why? Right, why Medford? Well, there's at least 3 reasons why. The first reason is that I've got to be honest, I've been watching all of the districts throughout the pandemic, and Medford School District has handled themselves the best. They've impressed me the most, I gotta say it. They have made all of their decisions quickly without waiting until the last minute. They have made sound decisions that is best for the students and that I agree with the most. And of all the local districts, they have done the best at communicating those decisions with the community, with getting community input and having that conversation with families. In fact, it has been the easiest to follow Medford because they have been so much more transparent than the others. In addition to that, I also was a student teacher in the Medford School District. I don't know if you know that, but while I was in Medford, I got to know the culture, and I really liked that culture, and I really want to come back to that culture. That's a professional culture where colleagues treat each other with respect, where admin treat teachers with support and aren't demeaning to them. And as far as staff-student culture goes, I have never been more respected or enjoyed my interactions with students more than when I was working at Medford. So I really want to get back to doing that. And then finally, I'm also already proficient in most of the programs that Medford is going to be using this year. And I know it sounds silly to say that I was looking for a school that's using Canvas, but I really, really was. Not only am I really good at the program, but I've gotten to know it. So I really do appreciate how easy it is compared to some of the other programs. Sure, there's a little bit of a learning curve at first, both for students and teachers, but ultimately, once you get to know it, it's the easiest and it has lots of neat little things that truly makes it the best program. That's the one I want to work with. Hey, Miss Evans, how do you know, like, what if I need extra help? Like, how do you know who needs interventions?
Yeah, it's good. Like, or what if I need help being challenged? Like things are too easy and I'm getting bored. That happens sometimes.
I'll ask you. And that's why I'm going to work so hard the first couple of weeks every semester, getting to know each group of students and building a trust and relationship with you. So that way you feel comfortable coming to me and talking to me. That way you feel comfortable speaking up during a live session, or you don't have a problem calling me or shooting me a text and letting me know what's going on. I also plan on sending out regular little check-ins with every student. When we're not talking about academics, we get to know each other best in those situations. So if it's possible, I'd like to host little virtual social get-togethers, like little, like an ice cream social where everyone brings a bowl of ice cream to a live session, or we do, I don't know, show and tell where everyone brings something unique from your kitchen. Maybe try and bring something that someone else doesn't have and tells us about it. That'd be fun, right? So if we get to know each other and we build a really positive, open relationship, then you're not going to have any problem telling me when you need help. While communication is the most important part, I also know that sometimes students don't tell me what they need. So in that case, I do keep really detailed notes and data on 3 things. That's student attendance, behavior, and grades. Now, if I see a trend happening and I see things changing with a student, I can identify, oh, something needs to change. Either they need more help, or they need more challenge, or they need something from me. I'm also going to go talk to your other teachers. A lot of times, if you need something from me in my class, you're going to need that same something from one of your other teachers, and I can just have a conversation with them about it. You talk about us, Miss Evans? Not cool. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I know. You care. You care. Yes, we talk about you.
Yeah. What if I don't like come to lessons and stuff, or stop turning in my work? Like,
well, I hope my classes are so dang exciting and I'm so fun that you want to log in and say hi to me.
yeah, you're cool, but
I know. Okay, I get it. You know, most of the time when a student is starting to check out, it's because something else is going on in their life. So my first move is always to just get in touch with them and see what's going on. Now, getting in touch can be difficult because the student's not showing up, which is why I try and use a lot of different ways of getting in touch with students and families. Last year, I had Google Voice installed on my phone, and I got a Google Voice number. So that way I was able to give it to students and families. And during a pandemic, you can't have an my office is always open policy, but I was able to have a my phone is always on policy. I was able to get phone calls anytime, anywhere, and if I wasn't able to answer them, I could get back to them really, really quickly. I also like to use a service like Remind or something like that to be able to text with students and families, because I find I have a much higher response rate when I'm texting instead of calling. If I need to, I'll meet a student where they're at. We can have lunch at the place down the road if we need to, social distancing. But I've done things like that before. Heck, I will even go knocking on your door if I have to, if the school will let me. I don't know. I have to check on that. But I've done it before, and I haven't stopped doing it just because of the pandemic. In fact, in the spring, when we went distance learning, I continued going out once a week. I would get out the door, and I would go knock on my students' doors. I would say hi. I would say how it's going. I would help them with their work if we needed to. Usually we went and we sat on the curb out in front of their house 6 feet apart, and it worked really, really well. Meeting students where they are at, communicating with them in the way that they need to be communicated with is really important. For a lot of kids, just having me get in contact with them, having a teacher that cares is enough. So last year I had a student who lost his job during the pandemic, which led to him not having as much money. And he kind of stopped turning in some work. So I was able to check in with him and say, hey, what's going on? And he let me know that he was worried about buying pet food. He didn't have any more money, and he wasn't sure how he was going to get money to buy food for his cat and dog. And so he was thinking maybe he had to put them, up for adoption. He wasn't really sure what he was going to do. He would have figured out how to get the cat food, right? He would have figured it out, but it was on his mind, and it was preventing him from getting the work done. And so what I did, obviously, is I went to Walmart and I got the biggest bags of dog and cat food I could buy, and I dropped them off on his porch the next day. And a couple days later, during the live session, he popped in and, Miss Evans, thank you so much. And he was so thrilled that someone cared enough to do something for him. Again, he would have figured out the food situation. We problem solve when we need to. But he knew that I cared. And so from then on, he didn't miss another live session. He didn't miss a single assignment the whole rest of the year. Now, I also know that for some kids, having a teacher that cares isn't enough. They actually really need more than that. Because their basic needs are not being met. So that is why I am willing to ask the tough questions. I found that when I ask the questions, you guys answer. You really do, and you answer honestly. So I ask questions like, how was your evening the night before? What was it like? Did you have dinner? Did you get a lot of sleep? Where did you sleep at? How are things going with your friends? Who are you hanging out with? Social distance style, right? What are you guys doing for fun? I want to find out these things because I need to know what's going on in your life. If a student is experiencing stress in the home, and there is a lot of stress going around right now, if a student isn't, sleeping in the same spot consistently every night, if they have reduced access to food, if they're experiencing social issues, all of these things are an indicator that their basic needs are not being met. If their basic needs are not being met, how can I expect them to come to school? How can I expect them to do well at school? So now that I've checked in and said, hey, how's it going? I know what they need. I've found out what's going on. I can try and get those needs met. Now, I'm a teacher who will do anything for my students, and I've done a lot for my students. I've gone the extra mile, and I always will. But I also know that I'm not Superwoman, and I'm certainly not a rich Superwoman. I can't do it all. So I've become really good at building relationships with other professionals who can do those things for kids that I can't. I really like to have a strong relationship with school counselors, so that way they can help my students with social emotional needs. I love working with McKinney-Vento and Maslow on getting students some of those more basic needs like food and housing, as well as health partners, whatever the school district's health partner is. So that way, if I need to get you in to see the doctor or things like that, I can help you through that process. I can't do it all, but I can definitely help. I try to help a student as much as I can, and I know that I can help and help and help. But if I'm not helping the family, there's a pretty good chance that I'm not really helping the student. So it becomes really important that when I am having this communication and I am checking in, that I'm not just talking to the student, but that I'm building a positive relationship with families, that I have open lines of communication with them. So that way I can try and help the family unit as a whole. So let me give you an example. If you are having to miss class because you're having to babysit your little sister, I can talk to you about it. And if I find out, I might try and find a way for, to help you get a babysitter one day a week or something to just give you that little extra boost. And that's great, but it doesn't solve the problem. What I need to be doing is having a conversation with your parents and finding out what's going on in their lives that they're having to rely on you for childcare. And maybe through partnerships with other professionals in the community, I can help solve whatever's going on in your family's life so that way they can provide the supports that you need, so that way they are helping you be successful now. I also want to say I keep really detailed records on student attendance, behavior, and grades. These are the 3 things that are strong indicators of apathy and of things going on outside of school. Chances are if one of these things start to change, all 3 are going to start to change pretty quick. So if you're keeping data on them and you see one start to change, maybe you can catch it and I can intervene before the other 2 things start to change. Also, when I'm looking at my data, I really like to send that to your other teachers, kind of see if they have some insight. Maybe they're seeing the same thing. Maybe they're seeing something totally different. Now, I have a lot of experience doing these things, not just talking theory and what would I do. I've done these things. When I worked in an alternative education center, I worked with students who were homeless, hungry, and coming from the worst situations you can imagine. While I was there, I was the on-site teacher for something called Redemption Ridge, which is where I was working with survivors of human trafficking between the ages of 12 to 18. I was also the summer school coordinator at Eagle Point High School for 2 years. And if you want to talk about apathetic students, those are them, right? I have a lot of experience working with these kids. I'm also ACEs certified. I have extensive training in trauma-informed care and teaching. And also, remember, I have a degree in anthropology with a focus on social welfare. So I'm really adept at looking at these things, not just at the individual level and what can I do with the student and family, but I'm also good at looking at this from 1,000 feet up, from a system standpoint, looking at systems within the school and systems within the community that may be having an impact on your individual success. All right, history scholars, that's all for now. It was a great first meeting. It is time to log off here, and I will see you next time. Bye.
Peace.
I'll see you. I'm logging out.
Bye, Evan.